There's two big developments that happened this week on the pipe bomb. Benny Johnson was interviewing Representative Loudermilk, who is the head of the January 6th subcommittee, the Republican subcommittee investigating really the elements of the Fedsurrection.
One of the things that has raised our eyebrows is as we go and we look for video on January 6th, because we want early morning video on January 6th to see, did anybody go back to these locations?
Of course.
Unfortunately, that video apparently doesn't exist anymore. We do have the January 5th video, but we've been told that no one ever preserved January 6th. So that does raise our eyebrows a bit. But you're right, both devices were placed either, the person doing the pipe bomb wasn't very experienced. He was just trying to get them down and go, or they were left to be found. And so it is pretty amazing. And, Mrs. Younger said she walked out her back door. It wasn't there earlier in the morning, but she saw it later, and it would, give reason to believe that she would have noticed it if it was there in the morning. So that's one of the reasons we do want to talk to her.
Okay, you just blew my mind here. According to the FBI, according to the internals at the FBI, there's 39,000 videos showing his movement.
Look at that. They're playing the video I made in Adobe. You guys see this? This is my video. That's awesome. This is me highlighting the glasses. That's so funny. Everyone's always like, Benz, go to bed earlier. Why are you up until 5 a.m. editing videos? I'm like, this is why. It's for moments like this. Because nobody was even zooming in and posting zoomed in videos.
Washington, D.C., Capitol Hill in particular is the most surveilled area arguably in the world.
Yes.
And you're telling me there's no footage from January 6th of the actual areas where you would have to travel to place these pipe bombs?
None of the camera angles like behind the RNC, behind the DNC, that we know of that exist today, of where this person would have been, have the closest angles. And so that has inhibited our investigation into this theory of maybe they were placed back out again. And this is something new that we've just come across. So we're starting to scour through all the Capitol Police cameras, because there is a Capitol Police building over by the DNC. It's called the Fairchild Building, and they do have cameras there. And that's been some of the cameras that have given us most of the evidence. So our team is going back through, and it takes a while when you look at how many cameras there are and you're looking for hours of video, because we're talking about this device was put out at around 8 p.m. on the 5th. Now we've got to look from 8 p.m. all the way to 1 p.m. on the 6th to see, did anyone else go by there? Was there any other traffic, any suspicious activity going on there? So that takes a while.
So that was the chairman of the House January 6th Select Committee. And what he just told you, this is from the FBI YouTube page. See right here, it says Federal Bureau of Investigation. This camera right here, this camera footage is from January 5th. And what he appears to be saying there is that this camera, which was not seized until after January 6th, it was seized by the FBI because of the events of January 6th. What he appears to be saying, although it's so unbelievable, my blood is boiling as I'm articulating this sentence and I'm trying to calm myself down. What he appears to be saying is that the FBI does not have any footage. See, the pipe bomb was planted right here by this leg of the park bench, okay? Right here in between these, this is where the pipe bomb will be planted, right here. What he appears to be saying is that this very same security camera, which is pointed out directly at the park bench, the FBI deleted the footage on January 6th itself, overlooking the exact same park bench. If that is true, there can only be one explanation for that. That they did that on purpose because it was an inside job. That is the most key piece of evidence. Now, in theory, there are two different versions of that footage. You had a security camera looking straight at the bench. There's the original tape on the camera, and then there are whatever copies of the original retained by the DNC. immediately Chairman Loudermilk has got to subpoena the DNC for retained copies of this camera. That's step one. If the FBI says we deleted it, go get unless the DNC also deleted their own security camera footage. That's step one. I want to see that announced by the J6 subcommittee this week. Step two is you fucking get the chain of custody of this camera and see the last person at the FBI who touched it before it got deleted. And then you arrest that person for tampering with evidence, for obstruction of justice. The thing that makes me uncomfortable as I watch that, and I love Representative Loudermilk. I think he's amazing on this. And it takes balls, the weight and heft of anvils to pursue this. I found myself frustrated watching that clip those sentences could be uttered without an immediate follow-up statement about subpoenaing the FBI for the chain of custody of those tapes. I'm not okay with, well, the FBI deleted the evidence. That sucks. No, that's a crime. That's a crime. Because the FBI is where evidence goes to die. I am sure there are legal arguments to be made about intent, in that if you can't prove intent, then accidental deletion of evidence may not be criminal. You may need to prove gross negligence or something if you can't prove willful intent. Cool. Bring the charges, prove intent in court, make the indictment, allege intent, and prove it once you've seized all that person's electronics and personal communications. Force whoever was the last person to touch this before it disappeared into the ether to prove in court what happened to that fucking footage. Because right now we are being led to believe that this very thing, what happened here is so important to the story of January 6th. The first pipe bomb was discovered 2 minutes before the first approach to the Penn Walkway entrance and like 7 minutes before the first breach. It was the discovery of the pipe bombs that reduced the police presence and allowed the perimeter breach in the first place. And then Kamala Harris lied. The Justice Department lied for 10 months. 10 months later, after they had to redo the criminal indictments, they had to refile grand jury indictments because the DOJ lied. Turned out Kamala Harris was right fucking here at the DNC. This footage you're looking at of him on this park bench, it took the Trump administration to release this footage because the Biden administration left off this part of the camera. And it's at 1 frame per second. Here's the pipe bomber right here. I'm just going to play this. He's scooting over to the right side of the bench. And we are told that right there is when he took it out and placed it. This is insane, by the way. This is so insane. I want to open this in Adobe real quick. Here is the footage released by the Trump administration, the Trump FBI. That's how long it took. And I'm going to zoom into this now. So this is the moment we are told that the pipe bomb is being planted. Let me turn the scaling way up here. You guys see it right here? Unbelievable how degraded this is. It's just unbelievable. This is only 8 o'clock at night. Here is, we are told, the moment that this camera captures him planting the bomb. Now, this is very herky-jerky. I'm just going to let it play. So is that supposed to be the pipe bomb right there? Is this supposed to be the device? Right here? Let's see, was it there before? Doesn't look like the device is there, and then it looks like it's there. So it looks like this is supposed to be the pipe bomb. And just play this again. Here he is, scooting over. This, we are told, is the pipe bomb. This. this spec in this completely degraded. Remember, the DNC headquarters was broken into during Watergate. And at 8 p.m., it's not even fully dark out. This is supposed to be the pipe bomb. We don't know what the fuck this is. And the question all along has been, given that the bomb-sniffing dogs who went by that morning didn't smell anything, given that the FBI under the Biden administration was so cagey about giving us this footage, we did not get this for the entire first 4 years of this investigation. This is the missing money shot from camera one that I made that video on. Remember this one? This is it. They showed this and then showed him walking out of frame, but they never showed him walking back up to the bench to actually plant the device, which makes no fucking sense if you're offering a 50, then 100, then 250, then $500,000 reward. Again, they showed this angle where the pipe bomb is obscured by the bush, and they showed this angle, but only him coming into it, not him actually planting the bomb there. Then finally, the Trump FBI releases this of the actual commission. So it looks like he's got it in his hand right here, if you can see. And then he's going to deposit it or drop it right there. Now, let me pull up the indictment again. I believe Kyle Seraphin pointed out. Now, they showed that he's got the pipe bomb parts, right? Powder. So the IEDs contained all these component parts. Now, I think I heard Kyle Seraphin point this out. Now, Kyle is a lot more skeptical, it seems, about the identity of the suspect. But he did make an interesting point, which is that I don't believe, remember how we went over on that stream last week, how it looked like all these different Cole's purchases of the bomb-making equipment in June and November. He bought the pipes, he bought the end caps, he bought the 9-volt batteries, he bought the white kitchen-style timer, he bought the red and black electrical wire, he bought the steel wool, he bought the safety glasses, he bought the wire stripping tool, the wire nuts, the sandpaper, a machinist file, protective gloves, and disinfecting wipes. There's one big thing missing here. The thing that's missing here is the thing that makes it go boom. Where's the gunpowder? I believe it was Catherine Herridge who broke this while she was at CBS. I remember this is how keyed into this just from memory. I believe in 2021, she broke the story of the explosive report. This was it. Law enforcement report from January 7th at CBS News lays out, this is the National Explosives Task Force report. And here they had unknown powder. I remember there was a big thing in this report. Here you go. March 2021. A powdery substance consistent with the oxidizer, potassium nitrate, fuel sulfur, and a fuel consistent with charcoal. A powdery substance. This is what they say. So one of the issues is, for this to even be called a explosive device, there has to be explosive material contained in that pipe bomb. Given this guy was an obvious patsy, talked into doing this, in my view, he's some autistic My Little Pony freak, it's quite possible that he was talked into planting these devices, but he didn't actually have the explosive black powder, and that was swapped in, that the device was swapped. It's possible. And we would know that if you simply had this footage on the morning of January 6th. All it would take is taking this exact camera and looking to see who between 8 p.m. on January 5th and 1 p.m. on January 6th walked over to this park bench. What we're now being told is that someone may have done that, and the actual camera staring straight at the drop site of the pipe bomb magically fucking disappeared. Like every camera in the Oklahoma City Alfred P. Murrah building, like every camera at the Pentagon on 9/11. Now, because that camera will definitively answer the question of whether the device planted by this idiot is the same one that was discovered that day, that would be exactly why you would delete this key piece of evidence if you were the FBI. And if you do not bring criminal charges against the exact FBI agent who last touched it, they will get away with this. You put that person under the penalty of jail time, they will squeal. They will rat out their supervisor. You will get answers. So it boggles my mind that that's not even being discussed. Who was the fucking FBI agent who last had the physical copy of the security camera that we are looking at right now, which we are told has now been deleted? There's something called a chain of custody. All evidence has to have a recorded chain of custody because that gets interrogated in any trial. The defendant in a trial has a right to interrogate the validity of the evidence entered and could make the argument, if there's no chain of custody, that that wasn't my pipe bomb. You can't prove those are my fingerprints on it because I can't see the chain of custody of who handled the pipe bomb after you took it off the ground. The chain of custody will tell you the names of the individuals at the FBI and DOJ who handled this tape. And there has to be, in the view of this Justice Department, a working presumption that the last person who touched it deleted it. Was it stored in a vault? Was it stored in a forensics lab? What was the last known date it was seen? What was the last known date it was seen missing? Then watch the cameras to see who took the physical copy of the tape out. You can't let them get away with this. This is an unbelievably key piece of evidence. That's just, okay. Now, the second thing, which makes it even fucking crazier, is this. For all of the questions about Carlin Younger, the person who found the RNC pipe bomb, which then triggered the search for the DNC pipe bomb, her working at this shady security contractor, they got like a $92 million FBI contract or DHS contract, like a month before the January 6th, which creates an obvious kind of, wow, the person who found the pipe bomb, her company just got like paid off by the FBI to the tune of almost $100 million right before she's the one who discovered the pipe bomb. But what came out is totally wild. Right after the fact, this is an FBI intake document the week after January 6th, 8 days later. Submitted text. I am the person that discovered and alerted the guards the pipe bomb found next to RNC on January 6th. I wanted to identify myself in case there are additional details I can provide that might be useful to the investigation. I did not see, nor do I recognize the person of interest socialized in the media. However, I can confirm that the device must have been placed between 12 p.m. and 12:40 Eastern Standard Time because it was not present when I went down to the area to start laundry at 12 p.m. But it was present when I returned to continue the laundry around 12:40. So she is saying that she can confirm that the device must have been placed between 12 and 12:40. Again, the breach of the Capitol happened at 1 p.m. It happened at 12:53 p.m. was the first breach of the Penn Walkway entrance, the outside perimeter. Must have been discovered between 12 and 12:40 because the RNC pipe bomb, which was discovered first, which set off the search that found the DNC pipe bomb, because it was not present at 12 p.m. when I went to do launch. Because the official story is this person who worked for a company that had this almost $100 million recent FBI contract, and who then went on to do disinformation work, Pendulum or something like that. I forget the name of the company. So what she's saying is that this footage that the FBI later put out, we're told this was the suspect in the back alley of the RNC. You guys remember like this infamous footage of him behind the alley of the RNC right here the night before? And what she told the FBI just 8 days after January 6th, that there was no pipe bomb there at noon. Now, given that the FBI never showed us any footage of this guy planting the RNC pipe bomb, they just showed him around the back alley. And now we learn 5 fucking years later that the whole time this is inconsistent with the story directly told to the FBI by the person who found the pipe bomb. This footage that we've been living with this whole time, right here, okay? This is supposed to be the back end. Right here was supposed to be him planting the pipe bomb on January 5th. Now, this whole time that they were giving us this footage, the direct testimony of the person who found it, the rather shady person who found it, is that actually that can't have been true. Because when she looked at that exact same spot at noon, there was no pipe bomb there. So just like with the DNC tape, did this person actually plant a pipe bomb? Did he plant the same pipe bomb? We still don't know that. And the only way to know that is to prosecute the individual FBI staff that handled the footage, the key footage. There's no other way. If you don't threaten consequences, then they will get away with the crime of the fucking century. And that is when we will know this is a serious investigation, that the DOJ is willing to prosecute its own for obstruction.